Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Animal Story Hour. And you may wonder why, again, Jen and Oscar are on the call. And hello and welcome. Um, well, we had something happening where we thought is interesting to share with all of you. And last time when we met, there were two cats,
Yeah.
Hannah and
Yeah.
Sid.
Yeah.
Do you want to share what happened, why we are coming together today?
Do you want to start off, darling? Okay, so the story was or is we had two cats up until about 3 weeks ago now. 3 weeks on Sunday,
Yeah.
we said goodbye to Sid. So the story of Sid and Hannah was I had a 7-year stint in China, and about 3 years into my 7 years in China, I fostered these two adorable cats. They were separate from each other. They didn't know each other from before. Sid and Hannah, and the story of Hannah was she was adopted out a year after her sister, and then Sid was found caught up in a drain somewhere, and his vocal meowing was so loud, and he was found and rescued, and he was in the care of SCAA, Second Chance Animal Home. Animal Aid, I think the company was called. And yeah, when I had the opportunity to foster, I obviously took these two on, and they were fantastic. And within a week, I fell in love with these two cats. So Sid and Hannah, they've been in my life for 15 years.
Oh,
And it was recently that Sid was of an age where his body just packed up, and it was his time to transition. And 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks prior to him going 3 weeks ago, we did take him to the vet, and it was communicated over to us that he had old
Old man problems.
old man problems. So
mm.
it was to be expected to a point, but the way he did go, it was a little bit surprising, because he did go downhill quite quickly. So he gave us, luckily, an extra 16 days after going to that vet visit. And, despite me trying everything, and like you would do, to try and make his life as comfortable as possible. And he was purring and playing still, and
Yeah.
he was being definitely himself up until the Friday. And then on the Saturday, he just went really downhill. Didn't eat or drink, and you wasn't with me that weekend. Well, on the Saturday, you were with your dad. And I had this really hard decision to make, Martina, because cats are trying to tell you things like all animals are, and you don't need to sort of be a great communicator like you are with animals to know that.
Definitely.
He was trying to tell me that his time was now to go. And I remember messaging you, didn't I? Like, is there any way that I can help in assisting him passing in a very, in a very painless way?
Yeah.
Because we all want for our pets to go home, be at home, sorry, and go peacefully in their sleep. But that Saturday night, he just didn't allow me to sleep. I was up the whole night just hearing his meows and cries. And the following day, the Sunday, was Mother's Day here in the UK. So I had naturally plans. My mum was coming up. She was already up north, but another area of up north in Leeds, in England, sorry. She was up in an area called York. And I had plans to pick her up and go for a dinner and go with my mother-in-law. And,
Yeah,
obviously I'm a mum myself. So it was a full-on.
I remember your message
Yeah, I was like,
that day.
God, yeah. I
Oh.
just didn't know what to do for the best, really, because I had all these plans and visitors. And but that Saturday night, it was a real hard evening for me, for sure. And then on the Sunday morning, I made the decision it was probably best that I make a decision to put him to sleep. Because I didn't want you, Oscar, or my mum to have a night with Sid the way he was the night before. He was really distressed, bless him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is so challenging. I remember one of our dogs when he was just sick, so we knew he would recover because he had a fight with another dog and had been bitten badly. But you really don't find a single minute. Your brain always goes around, what can I do? Just crazy. So yeah, and at
Yeah.
this point I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the whole animal kingdom, because you also did set him free. And I want to mention that explicitly because I know it's such a hard decision and we don't ever want to experience that. But their physical body, normally the life ends before ours. And so we have to set them free. And a lot of people don't do that. And so putting a lot of pressure on their pets. So they're holding on, being in pain, being in discomfort, but just not wanting to disappoint their humans.
Yeah.
And that's sad for me to see. I mean, nobody wants that. I have been there several times making that decision. And especially the first time I made that decision, that was for me a horrible experience. I really was left like, who am I to decide my dog has to transition today? But actually, it's the greatest gift. And did it feel wrong to you? I think I remember you asked later if you should have waited or not, or what was his will around that. How did you feel when you did that?
Y-
Beside horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just one of those days where it's Mother's Day and he was my first boy, you know, just in fur. And it was just, it's not the right day to go anyway, but that day just happened to be Mother's Day. And it was a
Yeah.
real horrible, rainy, torrential rain type UK day. For those in the UK would know exactly what I mean. Dark, thick, grey clouds, and you know, there was a lot riding on me that day to be other places, but I was in such a state I couldn't even drive to pick up my mum. So your dad was really good that day and picked up my mum, your nan, sorted out the things I just couldn't quite handle. And how did I feel, you asked? Yeah, I was definitely torn because I didn't expect to be in that situation or position to make a decision. I've never had that decision to make before with an
No.
animal. So you just always think and hope for the best that they're just going to
Yeah.
pass in their sleep. And I thought maybe on Saturday evening he might have done, but he didn't. And I just thought, now that he's here on an extra day of suffering, no eating, no drinking, and just crying, I thought it's just not fair on him. It's not fair on me. And it's definitely not fair on my mum, your nan, and you to go through another night of that, because there's no time where they're going to give you to say, this is my last hour now. So I felt I had to do what was best for him first, and that was to wish him the pain away by putting him to sleep. And even though I didn't want that for him, because he was not the best cat to take to the vet usually, but he would be like meowing all the time, because he was like that anyway. He's very vocal, very loud. Everyone knew he was in the room, and you would know that, wouldn't you, Martina? He would come in and out about 5 times in 1 hour call, and you would hear him, you know, from you know, a room away. And he just had no energy or life left in him. So therefore the journey for him was actually a quiet one. So, and I was just flooded with tears, as you are. But on the actual room of the veterinary clinic, and the lady was called Martina as well, I think I mentioned that to you, who was very nice, and she, you know, did the procedure with a lot of care and attention. And it was actually a beautiful moment to be with him when he passed, you know, because I was with my nan as well. I was holding her hand when she passed, and even though it's hard, it's actually a privilege to see
Yeah.
them pass in
And
that way. Yeah.
that's another thing where I really want to point out, and thank you for doing that. So many people think they cannot, and a lot of vets don't even allow you to stay with them.
Oh.
They are like, oh, they are under anesthesia. That's what they do normally. So they inject
Oh.
something that they calm down, then like an anesthesia, a short-term anesthesia,
Yep.
until they inject whatever they inject.
Mm.
And mostly after the second injection, they send people away.
Mm.
But even if it appears that your cat, dog, pet, whatever pet it is, horse, doesn't matter, just stay with them. They know that you're there. Just don't leave them in the cold office of the vet, and they can perform the whole thing as gentle as possible,
Yeah.
but still be with them. And every time I had to do it, what I noticed, the moment when they transitioned, you felt the some, I don't know, some light energy suddenly, and something like a thank you.
Do you know, it's funny. So when I came back with my cat carrier empty, and my attitude was of relief and I was happy, and Mum pointed it out. I didn't try and be happy, but she was like, I'm surprised, Jen. I thought you were going to be in an absolute state still as you left. And it was just that, yeah, maybe it was like you say, it was a real, yeah, my energy just completely changed
Yeah,
because I just knew then that was the right decision. It was a relief that now he wasn't in any pain. And my whole yeah, energy just changed. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
yeah,
thinking about it now. Because for the last 2 days prior to that moment, I was just, you know, stressed, anxious, didn't know what to do.
absolutely.
And that
And
Friday, I think I mentioned, sorry to cut you, that Friday before he went on the Sunday, I mentioned to you, didn't I, Martina, that he ate so well, eating
yeah,
everything, the sardines,
yeah.
the wet food, the dry food, the chicken, everything, and drinking loads and playing outside, and still could do his business outside. So he had that one last day of
Yeah.
woo, enjoying
And
earth, I suppose.
that happens literally all the time. So you have this 1 day or 2 days, it's not even related to a certain period of time, but you have this flare up of being back into full life. If you would have taken blood works at that time, and it's the same for us humans, they
Mm.
would have come back absolutely perfect, as if
Yeah.
nothing is wrong.
Mm.
But it's this last flare up, and then they go down, and due to the very fast metabolism of animals, it goes much quicker than in humans, and the state of not eating and drinking is a
Yeah.
normal state in the transitioning process. But then is the question, are they in pain, and can you really stand looking at them in that state? So there the human ego kicks in, and we have to make really this decision. Is it our ego to help them? Because we cannot watch, we don't want is the key word here, to watch them. Or is it just like you described this night that was so
I think Martina's
horrible for you?
giving you some energy because I was yawning before on a call with Martina because she's that powerful, Martina. You don't usually yawn
No.
at 12 and see you're working your
I
magic on us. You transferring some energy, you're having an upgrade at the moment. Isn't it funny? I was doing this a few weeks ago, wasn't I, Martina? I'm like, why am I
that was
yawning so much?
totally unusual. I remember that call maybe like 2 weeks ago or something
It
like that.
was. You can't
So
quit
yeah.
yawning now. That's Martina's effect, being in her presence. Yeah, sorry, Martina. Yeah.
And so yeah, we just have to make that decision and not worry about what would our pet say about it, because they accept whatever we decide. So don't be fearful of
Yeah.
deciding.
Yeah.
And
I convinced myself on that Friday because he just had such a great day, and he had a great 15 days before then as well, after the vet, and then that Friday, thinking I could get another few months of Sid being around if he continues like this. He really
yeah,
had the up, and I'm like, and then obviously the Saturday happened, and I just wasn't expecting him just to
yeah,
plummet. Maybe if we had this conversation another time, I would have maybe had that experience in knowing some
yeah,
other experiences of what happens towards the end, but I didn't. So I convinced myself that Sid is just an old cat, and one day he'll go, obviously, but not like that weekend. And I think that's what that was the hardest part, just to know that I had to make a decision for everyone, but obviously himself
yeah,
as the
yeah.
main person. And you were great, Oscar. You were so well accepting of the situation. Obviously, we had many tears, didn't we? But because Sid gave us and blessed us with those extra 16 days after the initial vet visit about his condition, kidney failure, we think old man problems, that you know, we did everything we did, and we had some beautiful pictures of Hannah just hugging Sid. It's like they know, don't they?
Well, I remember before you went to the vet, I gave you a heads up and already said, okay, better prepare for this
Yeah.
possibility to happen anytime now. So
Yeah.
sometimes, although it's one of the most beautiful things that I'm allowed to work on and work with the animals and the loved ones, it's also one of the hardest things. And having to share this information is not really fun, but at the end, it gives you time to prepare, right? So you could talk with your mom
Yeah.
and it didn't hit you completely out of the blue, right, Oscar? You were quite well prepared
Mm.
as you can be for this to happen.
Yeah, he was amazing, because obviously Oscar's grown up with Sid from day one, and
Right.
the way Sid and Hannah have been, check out our hisses from hisses to kisses video with Hannah that we did only a few weeks ago. So Hannah was never
Yep.
very well receptive to Oscar the minute he was born, and aggressively was hissing at Oscar. Never
Yeah.
went for him, never went for you. But we believe with your magic, Martina.
Yep.
And you also communicated over that Sid wanted to wait and hang around long enough in his life to make sure that Hannah was nicer to Oscar after his passing. And again,
Everything
you've
was
seen the
falling into
miracle.
place. It's
Yeah. And
still fascinating.
you have a good kiss and cuddle with Hannah every single day, and she hasn't hissed at you for the longest time. She might react, you know, her old self is still there, but it's
Yeah.
pretty much gone now.
Yeah.
And you are very, very close. And it's beautiful to see, because,
Clingy.
yeah, she's actually, well, she might be clingy due to Sid going, and she might be a bit, just a bit lost without Sid for the first,
But
you know,
still, I
yeah.
mean, she could have chosen you and not
Oh yeah,
Oscar.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's definitely sharing between us now, isn't she? Whereas before it was
Great.
just me for 15 years. So Hannah's 16 now. She knows we're talking about her because her back's now to us. Hannah. But she seems to be in a fine bill of health. I mean, you've checked in with her. Thank you, Martina, and she seems to be okay and doing well. And
Well, yeah, let's see to get some more messages from her.
yeah,
Maybe,
can do if you want
maybe.
to. Yeah, I mean, the questions we had, Martina, and just for the audience listening, were questions like, so what's happened really? Like, now that Sid's gone, because we wanted to know when you could start maybe communicating with Sid again, if that's at all possible at any time in the future.
It is possible because in truth, we are a soul having a physical experience, and it's not different for our pets or human. It doesn't matter. And so you can connect at any stage, but when a soul just has transitioned, they may take a while to be open. So they need to find out, where am I? They need to work on what happened during this past lifetime. At least this is what I always get back from them. And so very often you receive a kind of like a first message shortly after they transitioned, kind of like confirming that they are doing fine, and just a short message for mom, dad, whatever.
Mm.
And then normally it's a break, it's a pause.
Mm.
And it can be anything from like day 1 to 3 months that they start showing up and being open to connect again. And then we might get more messages. While it's already can happen that they show up around you. And I think you shared with me where you thought you had been stroking Sid,
Oh yes, yeah. I had a
right? So
beautiful
that's what
experience.
they do. And maybe it was Hannah collaborating with Sid already, giving you the impression that it is Sid, because in truth, we are not struggling with death,
Mm.
but we are grieving the loss, the physical, no
Mm.
longer being able to see and touch them.
Yeah.
And that's the major problem we have. If we could see our connection on a soul level,
Mm.
everything being connected, then we wouldn't grieve.
Mm. Yeah.
But this is where us humans struggle the most. For the pets, it's not a too big thing. It's like going through this door
Yeah.
and the door closes and another door opens for them. It's not a big thing.
Yeah.
And although some of the animals do really show grief, I saw kitten moms crying for their babies that had been lost. Elephants, they really say goodbye. They have literally a ceremony around a transitioned family member. So yes, they do have these emotions, but then they move on. Us humans struggle way longer, and then the human brain comes in, and so
Yeah.
sometimes you have the downward spiral and don't find a way out. Just grieving.
Yeah.
But this is
We
in truth not necessary. Sorry, Oscar.
we've had each other, haven't we, Oscar? We've been helping each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
'Cause
the best you can do. And you know what else is the best? To just share funny moments, watching photos or videos, and be like, oh, do you remember when he did this or when this happened?
Yeah.
That is such a healing experience. Just going to the happy moments, not focusing on these moments
Do you
that
want
you
to let
just went through.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to let Martina know and the audience know about what the veterinary clinic did once he passed? What they did for us?
Well, what they did was, instead of giving us the ashes,
That was our decision, wasn't it?
I'm confused then.
Okay, so we chose not to receive the ashes.
Mhm.
What we did do instead, we decided to donate. We gave to charity, didn't we? We donated to the local rescue centre.
Yeah, but that's what I was
Okay.
gonna
So,
say. We donated to the a local rescue centre for cats. And then instead of having his ashes, we got so they painted his paw and they stamped his paw on a piece of paper.
Oh,
So we got a little souvenir of him.
yeah.
And they also shaved off some fur and gave it to us.
oh, that's lovely.
And
I've never heard such a beautiful, how do you call that?
it's a nice
Gesture.
gesture. Yeah,
Yeah,
keepsake, really. I mean, you don't think about any of that at all when you're about to say
no.
goodbye, but it was a nice touch. We found out just before they did the procedure. Yeah, we can show it to you, can't we? We're going to put it in a frame. Oops. And we just thought it would be more practical to donate to a sanctuary where they're actually doing a great job looking after the strays, and we can
Oh, he had
we
big paws, really.
yeah, he was a small cat, but he had big paws.
Oh, so lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
On the fur as well.
So you will create some.
Yeah, some sort of like, collage, or, put it all in a picture frame. And we decided this morning, didn't we, Oscar? Do you want to let Martina know
Sorry.
what we're going to do about outside?
So we don't really have a garden, but we have like a patch that no one really owns. No one really owns, really, but we just look after it, don't we?
Yeah,
We're gonna put
grow plants and vegetables in it.
we're gonna put up a bench and just put in memory of Sid, aren't we?
Yeah, we found our bench and we're going to engrave it and put a little message we're going to dedicate for the public. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah, because we've got
Donating and this bench, wonderful.
yeah, we had a greenhouse last year, and with the weather in the UK, it didn't work out to of our growing skills. But we've got loads of kids in the area due to it being like the best area in Leeds for schools, and we can have the kids play around on the bench, can't we, this year? Because we make a feature out of this patch every year. So this year is going to be the Garden of Sid. So yeah, that would be a good thing. Yeah.
That's lovely. And that way, really, his energy will spread. And he had definitely an amazing, beautiful energy. So that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
love that idea.
Yeah, for sure. It just didn't feel too great just receiving his ashes and have them fly everywhere. We wanted to,
because they're gonna disappear anyway.
yeah, but proactively donating to that shelter was great. And we met some amazing characters,
Cats.
didn't we? Yeah, and waiting for a home. And I said to Mum and Oscar that day, because it was the day after Sid, like, don't let us come home with a cat or cats.
I would take them all.
Yeah.
Take them all.
They were
Well,
great, weren't they? Yeah.
Jen, Oscar, the both of you know that it's not your choice.
No, well, yeah, you're right. Maybe we'll have a visitor one day and a cat
You
will come in
never
and
know.
stuff.
Just open up to the field of possibilities. You also shared with me, it's not yet the right time. While Hannah is already open. This is what she shared with me. So just put that out, and whatever happens is fine. Like, let
Yeah.
the universe deliver what's the right thing. I know it. I always was in the position that there was no more dog when the one transitioned. So that's something different. You still have Hannah. And for me, it was like, I want a dog now, instantly. I never want a dog again. I want a dog now, never. Because you don't want to have this feeling of pain again. But actually, our pets encourage us to open our hearts and give another animal the chance to receive your love and this nice place to live with. And at some point, it just happens. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, because we thought about maybe waiting for you to communicate with Sid when he's ready and have that 3-month period or whenever it might be. So then, out of honor, we're just leaving that space for us to grieve and have those stories to talk about, to put the bench up and, do our little thing, get Hannah used to Sid not being around. But you did mention, which was a great, beautiful point, that, with her being an older cat at 16, to have a kitten, because she had a litter before, that would bring you new young energy to her life and therefore give her
Right.
maybe another zest of life for her last
Or maybe
chapter.
just another kitten to mother.
Yeah, because they're very social, aren't they, cats? Especially Hannah with Sid. They were very close, loved each other, considering they never knew each other from before. They really had a great bond, like super strong, very close.
You could definitely tell.
Yeah, just as close as you and Hannah now. Yeah, you're besties, aren't you? Thank you, Martina. You were so helpful. Like, you were definitely a key person for me on that day. And yeah, it was a bit of a mess because I didn't realize I had to make that decision on that Sunday, because I thought on the Friday he was going to stay around for at least a few extra months. So it was a bit of a surprise, if I'm honest.
Mm.
But again, the bottom of my heart from us both and Hannah, like, thank you,
Yeah.
because it was a hard day. But we are
I
happy now. He's at peace.
I remember me sitting there crying because I had to text you these things, and at the end I kept it open because you are there and you watch him, and so you have to make this decision. I cannot tell you, or I will never tell you, do this now. But I showed you the options, and so I was sitting there crying and like, oh, I'm not
Yeah.
saying the F word now. So
Fudge.
yep.
Fudge. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, as I said, it's one of the worst things to do, but also one of the most beautiful things. And now let's see where that journey keeps on moving now.
Yeah. And for anyone who might need to make that decision at any point in the future with their furry friends, just don't put too much guilt on your shoulders. You just do what you feel is right for the situation.
And do what the animal thinks is right as well.
Yeah, and if you're not too sure, message Martina, she'll help you. If you
I'll
can't
do
make
my,
a decision, tune in with the cat via Martina, and then you'll be able to find out.
I think the more worst decision in those cases is dragging your pet to the vet over and over and trying this and trying that and literally torturing instead of accepting what naturally happens. We have lost this relationship. Nobody's really talking about, I'm now saying the word death. It's not a death, really. It's a transition, just transforming of energy. But in our culture, it's not talked through. So this is kind of like the no-go area, and the normal process and allowing acceptance. And doctors don't know. And don't forget, the vets, there are a lot of very beautiful vets out there, but they're running a business.
Mm.
And so a lot of them depend on this money. And so they may try everything to keep the pet alive a few days longer.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Especially when you're conditioned only before someone like yourself is in someone else's world. It's like we've got that default, just go to the vets and you just hang off their every word. But now that I know about you and your services, and there's a whole way of communicating with animals on a very deeper level, there's other ways that you can approach such a tough situation. And it's
right,
all about really just tuning in to see what they want. And if it's their time to go, as hard as it is, it's learning how to respect the circle of life and just allowing the most peaceful of transition you can hope for all round.
absolutely. And at the end, just thinking of it of a monetary and also very human 3D level, let's say you do something and maybe your pet is improving, but for how long?
Yeah.
What do you gain? Do these extra 3, 4, 5 weeks really make a big difference?
Yeah.
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 It doesn't make the decision any easier. You put in more hope, but you're worried every single minute. What will happen next? Will they feel
Yeah.
fine? How are they next morning? So,
It's a stressful situation, like the whole
right,
energy in the house. You tread on eggshells, like the every
right,
meow and every toilet check they do, and checking if they're going to eat or not today.
right.
I'd
And
like,
therefore, just
yeah,
keep it a bit more natural.
yeah,
I mean, go to the vet, get a diagnose. Absolutely on board with that.
yeah.
Because sometimes it's really something very little that you can help with, or that I could help with even, and animal will just continue living on.
Mm,
But in case not, then make peace with that decision. It's
yeah.
set up like this, their lifetime is shorter than ours normally.
Mm,
And so it's very normal we have to say goodbye.
yeah.
Definitely.
It feels nice here now. We do miss him. The world has become slightly smaller without him in it, but he made such an impact, and we think about him, and we will do as we move forward every day, won't we? Our little Sid. Thank
You
you.
will always think about them. Even my first dog, Sammy, he was with us for nearly 16 years, which is a incredible age for a Shar-Pei.
Yeah.
And he transitioned in 2010.
Mm,
And I still think about him a lot. He was absolutely extraordinary. And there are my moments where I still cry.
yeah.
And not to talk about the second one, which was really like a clown. He was so not typical Sharpie. He was happy about everyone coming around and being petted. And like our Ella now, don't touch me. No, leave me alone. She's barking at everyone. And so, yeah, they never leave you
No.
on a mental human level,
Mm,
but on an energetic level, they will always stay. And you can call them in, you can start and communicate with them. Just have a conversation
mm,
yourself. Try. And the very first thing that comes to your mind, that's the key with animal or soul communication. Just the very first thing that comes to your mind, accept this as the answer. Don't overthink. When you start overthinking, you'll end up having a self communication.
mm,
But if you take the very first answer, even if it does not make any sense, just let it sit. The explanation might come at a later point. And also, animals don't talk linear. Sometimes they mix up everything. The first answer is always from the soul you want to connect with.
we'll give that a go, hey? Yeah.
Do you want to give it a try, Oscar, and let me know how it goes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you can do that.
We'll definitely try, won't we?
We'll try.
Yeah.